Welcome back to another episode of TikTok Famous. Today, I am so honored, so excited to talk to someone that I have been watching on television for years. Adrianne Curry is here, America's Next Top Model, or what she would like to tell you is your next Avon lady. So I am here to talk about all things Adrianne Curry, so stay with us.
You're listening to the TikTok Famous Podcast, where viral fame meets raw reality. Join your host, Meredith Willits, as she dives deep with your favorite creators to uncover the real stories behind the scroll, the highs, the lows, the algorithm chaos, and everything in between. This is not your average interview. This is the TikTok Famous Podcast.
Thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited to talk to you today.
Oh, thanks for having me. I've been watching your feed periodically. Like, I'm still trying to understand whatever TikTok is, like its own entity.
Well, you're crushing it because, I mean, you were just on Bethany Frankel's podcast, B Spot. And I think you just got an award for Avon for being the top, if not the top, Avon lady.
No, not top. I used to be, but I have fallen from grace. I'm getting my butt handed to me. It was for having more online customers and an increase. Okay. And I was like shook. I was like, okay, TikTok, thanks, man. Holy crap.
Yeah, it is definitely a powerful place to exist for sure. I've been watching you since America's Next Top Model. You're probably the only season, maybe one other, that I actually watched. God, just to even like get into all of that. What was
your
that
lighting
like?
is really good. I just want to say, like, if I was sitting in that, I'd be like,
well, we need to get you a ring light. I mean, come on.
I have one. It's just like, I don't give a crap to like focus so much on it. I wish I did. But if someone did it for me, like if I was sitting next to you, I'd feel angelic. You look very glowy.
Oh, well, thank you. Well, it's just a plain Amazon circle light, but when you hit 52, you kind of want to make sure everything is a little glowy if you have to. So that's
light it hot. That's what I say. You light it hot and it blasts out fine lines and wrinkles.
Exactly. Everything disappears very quickly. Mm-hmm. I was kind of like going through a bunch of stuff, especially this morning. I wanted to make sure I was ready for you. On what was it? You were on something recently. And you were talking about the fact that you don't necessarily blame Tyra Banks. You're more frustrated with the fans for keeping this whole thing alive for, what is it, 20 some seasons?
Well, okay. She did what she could to survive in a sea of sharks. And to survive in the sea of sharks, you have to become a shark yourself. So that's what she did. Mm-hmm. And when she came out with Top Model, she's like, how do I get longevity to my career? I'm 29 years old. I'm about to hit 30, which is over the hill with modeling. She's like, what do I do? So she found this platform, which was genius. You can't hate her for it. But what I found odd, I understand like the first season girls being upset. But when people knew that it kind of sucked, but they kept going because they're like, anything to be famous. It's like, you know what you're getting into at this point. Like, we were your guinea pigs.
Yeah.
And I'm like screaming from the rooftops, like, I didn't get nothing, man.
Yeah.
Like I always liken it to winning the lottery, having the big press junket, getting handed the big fake check, and then the lights go out, and then you cash a check and it bounces. And all you have is the title. And that's why when people are like, you still call yourself America's Next Top Model, I'm like, on my tombstone.
On your tombstone.
That is what I got.
Yeah, because you were promised a modeling contract. And also that kind of fell through.
Revlon. It was a
Revlon.
So it's called Frankenbites. It's where they say something to you in person, but that in post, she'll record a new thing that she says.
Yeah, you said it just like disappeared.
Yeah. So we were fighting to be a Revlon cover girl. We're thinking Cindy Crawford and all this stuff. Like, we're going to make it big. none of us would have fought tooth and nail for what the prize actually was, because they didn't know that the show was going to be big. So they're just like lying to us, like it's going to be all this stuff. Yeah. Like I didn't get a cash prize from it. And I'm really lucky that Merit Diamonds, who we modeled their diamonds on the show, they came to me in France. They said, we don't care if you win or not. We're hiring you for our diamond campaign. I was like,
oh, wow.
Yeah. I was like, there we go. So I locked that in, which I was very excited about, but I wouldn't have had the opportunity without Top Models. So it's like a love-hate. But the thing is in 2020, when everyone rewatched it and they wanted to hate it, I'm sick and tired of people pretending they have a time machine to go reprimand people 20, 30 years ago for something that happened. It's self-righteous virtue signaling. It's living in a glass house on your high horse. I'm like, and if anyone had the right to be pissed at her, it was me. And I'm like, who the F are these people acting like she hurt their lives as you sat at home eating ding dong, scratching your butt, watching a television?
Watching you guys.
I was in the ER with food poisoning. Like I literally slept 2 hours a night on that show. I went through hell and back, and I got humble pied. I actually have an email from Tyra way back in the day when I used to use AOL. And it was 2 or 3 months after I won the show and I was living in New York. I had no money. So I was going to go be a waitress again. And she's like, we can't have that. Like now I can read it and understand that selfishly she couldn't have that because it would make season 2 of the show look bad.
Like, hey, now you won. You didn't come up in 5th place. You actually won all the things that were all lies. And P.S. You're also now a waitress. So this show might not be all that it's cracked up to be.
So she is like fang dangling me and like a little manipulative, like, oh, let's see what we can do. And I was like, well, look, like I need money. Like my family's poor. I moved here scraping whatever I had left from double shifting as a waitress. And I'm being told, wait for Revlon. Just wait. It's going to happen. Just keep waiting. Wait. So when I went on season 2 and hyped up the girls, they picked me up from the projects in New York City on Avenue D in Alphabet City. Like that's where I lived in a limo. And I was like, have you lost your effing minds? So then I'm sorry, but I had like gangbangers coming up to me like, what's up? Like when
why do you have a limo? Right.
Okay. One recognizes me, thank God, and was like, gentlemen, she knows Tyra Banks. And I'm like, yes, I do.
Street
We're
cred.
like this. Yeah. So they're like, tell her to come down. And so then all of a sudden, what could have turned into like, turned into, hey, that's the bitch that knows Tyra Banks. So it actually worked out. But yeah, I didn't lie to the girls in season 2. I actually believed those prizes were still coming.
Okay,
and
so you were still holding on to Revlon.
Yes. So I held off on getting the waitressing job. I borrowed money from my mom, who had no money to begin with. Like the reason I wanted to win the show was to help my family.
Yeah.
But I'm grateful it all happened, because would I have been a good person if I would have all of a sudden become a good big Revlon model? Like, look at Tyra. Would I have been a good person? I don't think so. So I'm glad I got scooped a bunch of humble pie in my mouth and had to drag my body through fields of broken glass.
So, I mean, is it true? I mean, reports are you guys were given $38 a day for food allowance while on the show.
Was it 30? It might have been less for season 1.
Stop
but
it.
We barely ate. All we wanted, those of us who did eat, was food, right? I just remember they're like, catering's coming. It's coming. That's why I got food poisoning, is by the time catering came to the snake photo shoot, I was so ravenous. I literally just grabbed stuff and I started effing it up, like ripping it up. And it was Elise sitting next to me. And I was eating like they're like fried chicken wings, but not fried, like the little itty bitty baby wings and drumsticks. I was so hungry. And I'm eating it. And she's like, that's not cooked.
Oh,
and
God,
I had her, I had already downed like 5 or 6 of them, and all by the bone was clearly not cooked. And I
Oh,
remember looking at her, I'm like, you're the wannabe med student. Am I effed? Like, should I go try to, so I go into the bathroom and I'm like, if I try to, they're going to twist this so bad.
oh,
Like, what
7
do
ways
I,
from Saturday. Now you're bulimic.
so I'm like, what do I do? And then I was like, I guess I just pray to the good Lord and hope that it doesn't come for me. And oh boy, the next morning did it. It was so bad.
That's
Out both ends. Like I was,
oh
oh.
God. And I also like I vaguely remember, but I was reminded this morning when doing some background on you. Your season had a race swap competition that you
Which
did
was
not
that?
take part in.
Which was that?
It says you did a race, maybe where like changed the hair or the styling. I don't know. It's out there.
Actually, we did, like when I came back from the hospital, we had to run back, do our makeup, and pick like couture outfits and all this stuff. Or was it couture? Damn, it's so long ago. But I know we had to do our makeup like Tyra.
Okay.
I don't know, girl. Like this was so long ago.
I know, right?
Like, what?
But I mean there is that piece of it where you can't. I mean, I'm actually in Chicago. You're from
What?
Joliet. I know. I'm here sitting
Yeah.
here in the Chicagoland area. You're from Joliet. And
Toilet. Good old toilet. Then you know how trashy I am. It's so funny because when I was on the show, Tyra would be like, "You are so ghetto all the time to me." She's
stop
like,
it.
"Yeah," and I'm like, "Do you know what Joliet is?" Like people from Chi-Town are afraid to go to a bar in
Stop it.
J-Town because it's rough. Yeah, like we are who we are.
Oh my. And since then you've been like on the cover of 2 Playboys and in Playboy twice. I mean, you've been on numerous magazines. I mean, insane stuff. You've modeled you signed with Wilhelmina.
I did.
How
I
did that
did.
where did that come? Like with I mean you
That was through Top Model.
yeah.
Now, Top Model had promised Wilhelmina that they would use them for years and then drop them immediately
Yeah.
for IMG, I think.
Mhm.
Wilhelmina was pissed. So I started talking to Janice Dickinson back then because
Oh gosh, I remember her.
they started sending a lease to all the good markets where like we were stars. She's like, you should be in Chicago, you should be in Hong Kong, you should be where you're a star. And then my people were like, we're going to send you to Greece or South Africa. And dude, I picked South Africa and it was awesome. I lived there for almost 6 months. It was awesome. Dangerous. Would I do it today? Probably not, but I was young and immortal. You know how it goes.
Right.
But she's like, they're sending you off to just let your career go the way of the dodo. She's
Stop.
like, yeah, it was. I actually tried to get out of my contract, unfortunately, at the time. And there's no hard feelings. We're all adults now. She's probably in a different plane. But I had told Elise, like, I'm trying to get out of this. They're effing me over. I got to go. And she actually went to Wilhelmina and told him everything that I said. It really sucked. I don't know if she just really trusted someone there or she was just trying to bamboozle me, but our relationship ended.
I mean, what it sounds like is they took kids and Tyra's quoted as saying like she took kids and said, "Hey, just because you're from the ghetto, just because you're from a trailer park doesn't mean we can't make you into a star." Like she's quoted as saying basically that. I'm going to take these people, I'm going to put them on the show. I'm going to show them how to do their hair and makeup and walk and put them in,
But
have
from
this
what
happen.
I saw, like I think season 1 was what real modeling was, and then it just became the circus show of
Right.
stupid crap for reality TV.
But what it sounds like is that they promised you all of these things and they had to live up to it in some kind of crazy way. And then also, if you were going to crash and burn, which was by way of them because of the lies of the Revlon, they were going to make it your fault. They were going to
Oh,
make sure it looked like it was you that did this.
my contract was this big, right? After I opened my mouth all pissed off, their contracts were this big. I called it the Adrianne clause. I was like, okay, because I came out swinging after a while.
Yeah.
Tyra Banks said something that really pissed me off. She was a rich girl that lived in a very well-to-do neighborhood in California and started modeling. I
Okay.
don't relate to her life at all. That is not my life. Both my parents worked in factories. They were never home because they're on double shifts. Like that just wasn't my life.
Yeah.
And essentially, she said that I had poor work ethic. Before Top Model, I was working double shifts as a waitress.
Yeah.
Till like literally, I had spider veins on my legs already at 20 years old because I was like, I'm going to help my family, all this stuff. It's funny because no one in my life had ever said that, but she took that shot. Now I regret this because I was young, but I knew what would hurt her most. She knew what would hurt me most, which is work ethic.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh yeah, you're fat. How about that?
Oh, shit.
Yeah, no, I went there. I was young.
You went there.
I knew because she went for my jugular. I'm like, ooh, I'm going to get you. Now I'm older and I'm like, I should have been the better person and all that stuff. But she was like my angel and my savior from this life that I had. And then all of a sudden, now I know everyone in Hollywood's just kind of a rotten POS. But then I was just like, she's different. She's my angel and she saved me from my mundane existence of probably going to work in the same factory my mother did in 150 degrees making Triscuits, So I got mad.
Well, I always say the most dangerous person in the room is the one that really doesn't have anything to lose. And it sounds like you were kind of that person. You had something to lose, but you also were kind of fearless to lose it. It was just like, I can go back. Like, we're good. I can go back. I'm not like, I'm not going to die for this.
Yeah. No, there's nothing that's beneath me. And that's what I told her when she's like, you can't go waitressing right after I won Top Model. I'm like, this isn't beneath me. I'd probably make killer money off these rich people in New York City. Are you kidding me?
Right.
Like young and hot. Like, let's go. Because I used to be a Hooters waitress, the one with no chest. And it worked for me because I understand the psychology of people. I could tell a group of guys all made fun of one dude. I'd roll in, bust that one dude's balls. And then guess what? I got that big fat paper tip. Then I'd be like, oh, you want to meet Heather, the other waitress, the one that's stacked and I'm not? Hey, Heather, meet the boys. And they're like, oh, she's like the wingman chick. Yep. I'm like, that's right.
Yep.
I'm always willing and ready to hustle. What I
but
do.
you did parlay it. You did parlay. And that's the thing, right? Like, if you are a hustler, if you do get it, if you did come from like kind of the gritty streets of Joliet, Illinois, you can see and parlay and make the hustle. You got from there, you were on other television shows. You've been like I said, you were in Playboy. I'm sure you've got to have some good Playboy Mansion stories.
Okay. This is actually on Stephen Waita's Instagram, and he tagged me on it. Stephen Waita was the mega celebrity photographer for Playboy. Like, he did Kim Kardashian, Carmen Electra, Pamela Anderson, Cindy Crawford, like everyone. And my second shoot with Playboy, I came up with the concept, which was Eyes Wide Shut, but we called it Eyes Wide Open. And I don't know why he gave me all this creative thing. And it turns out I had dressed up as Alex DeLarge at a Playboy Mansion, like Midsummer Night's Dream or Halloween party with the cod piece and everything. And Hef was like, what? Because he loves Stanley Kubrick. So all these chicks are like, I'm a sexy bunny. I'm a sexy this. And I'm like, I am fully dressed with a big, huge bulge and a cane and a top hat. And he was like, this chick. So when I told him Eyes Wide Shut, he was like, okay, let's do it. Now, Hef said this to me, but I just assumed that he says it to everyone. And it caused some problems because ears heard it. He got down on his knee on this red carpet or some event we were at. He kissed my hand and told me that my spread was the best he had ever seen in Playboy's history. And then Stephen Waita confirmed it at art galleries selling art of me from the shoot, saying Hef confirmed this was the greatest Playboy shoot in Playboy's history. And I'm like, okay. So at least I have that, even though now
Yeah.
I wish I kind of had clothes on in it, but that's a whole nother story. I was so full of piss and vinegar with my middle finger in the air, running around like angry,
What do you think
vindictive.
that is? Is that your childhood? Is that like F the world? Like,
It was F Tyra and Top Model, like, because they're like Playboy's beneath us. I'm like, oh, is it? Twice. But
watch
the
me,
way,
watch
well,
me.
yeah, the way I saw it is, they had huge supermodels pose in Playboy. And there was a wing at Playboy West that had all the supermodel posers. And I was there. I'm like, I was never a
Wow.
supermodel, but I was at Playboy, damn it.
Yeah.
They put me in the supermodel wing.
Yeah.
Yay. And they
That's
also
kind of,
gave me my shoes, which was nice.
I
Christian
mean,
Louboutin.
there you go. I mean, I don't know. There's that piece of it that's like, it's so funny because, and we'll talk about it, but you now have kind of turned your nose to all of it. You know what I mean? You're just this huge exposer. Like, I'm going to expose Top Model. I'm going to expose like Hollywood. I'm going to expose the reality. And P.S., with all the exposure, I just really want to go live a normal life. So what you guys are all out here chasing, all the influencers, all the creators, all the people that are dying to get into Hollywood. P.S., I was there and I still would choose a life of calm.
You know what it is? It's like an onion. You get it from the store and you peel off the layers of the outside so you could like food process it and it's all rotten on the inside. That was my experience in Hollywood. I have never been more hurt, more stressed. I've never been pulled to the brink of absolute despair. I've never lost so much hope in humanity.
Wow.
I never understood just how dark and grimy, like the whole P. Diddy stuff. It's all of them.
Wow.
Like, this is all of Hollywood. When you're that rich and famous, when people scream and cry when they see you, you feel you're above everyone else. When you're above everyone else and you're lavished with everything you can want in life, like free yacht rides and free this, free that, everything starts to bore you. And as
Yes.
everything starts to bore you, you become more and more extreme. I felt when I bounced in 2015, a lot of people told me that I still like had hold of who I was, but I could recognize that half of my soul had rotted away. That each
Wow.
year I would chip more and more of myself off and make sure that I had excused it to myself as, well, at least I'm not jumping in bed with everyone. Because I always said I would have been Angelina Jolie if I would have like jumped in the sack with all the ones that were offering. Are you kidding me? And then it's hilarious to me when people are like, oh, your first marriage, it was all about his celebrity. I'm like, if you knew the dudes that were chasing me, you would slap yourself.
Get
To
out.
think that like a former child star was me chasing fame. Like, I had rock stars and just like big, because I was a hot young model.
Yeah.
Like, what the, and most people actually thought I was cool. They're like, oh, this bitch likes Pink Floyd. Let's invite her. And let me tell you something, never meet your heroes.
I hear that so often. Like, don't do it. Don't do it. Any names that you'd like to drop of people that were chasing you that you look back and go, oh, I kind of wish I would have.
I don't want to say. I have one story that I'll share because it's hilarious. I was at an event at Beaver Creek, Colorado, and Billy Idol was playing a private show for like the president of VH1. I think Tori Spelling was there. I was there. My ex-husband, who was my fiance at the time. Long story short, at the end of the show, Billy Idol was supposed to be drinking water. It was in his contract to not have any beverages. I don't think that was water.
You're like, that was PS solid, whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
So he rolls up to me and I was like, oh, I have the photo at my mom's house. Is me and Billy Idol. And I'm like, whoa, that's very potent coming out of his pores. You know, I know that wasn't water. And he immediately invites me up to his penthouse to like have fun all night, all this stuff. He's like, I can't take my eyes off you, love, blah, blah, blah. And like my ex was standing right there.
right there.
So I'm like, Billy, I'm engaged and this is my fiance.
He's like,
And
don't care, bring
he
him.
does the little like snarl. And he's like, your fucking fiance, Billy Fortnite. I was like,
stop it.
yeah. And of course I get in trouble. Oh, my ex was so upset. And I'm like, I don't even know this guy. I literally just existed and stood here. And this is what happened. And I just couldn't get away from Billy Idol that night. But I'll use that because he probably doesn't even remember it, even if the people in the room do. And his set was excellent. His performance was awesome. I don't care how, 3 sheets to the wind he was on point. Billy rocked it.
I still love his Rock the Cradle of Love video. I just dressed up at that as Halloween 2 years ago. I was her in the video and my husband dressed up as like the nerdy guy in the room. Yeah, that was like one of the greatest videos of all time back then. Like, Billy Idol had it going on. So
Billy still at the time had it going on, and he is everything that you would ever expect him to be.
Rock star, yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
0 Fs.
There's that thing about you that is so droll. It's the voice, it's the mannerisms, it's the I don't give a shit, it's the but you do, but you don't. I don't think people know what box to put you in. You were the girl next door that was the friend making mud pies and like, doing, looking for bugs. Like you're that person, but then wrapped into 5'10" model body. And
it wasn't until I won Top Model that my friends that I grew up with, all the guys, because this was the grunge era. Yeah. Like I was in a 9-inch nail shirt, baggy pants and spiked collars and bandanas. And besides my high school sweetheart, people didn't really know what was going on down there. You know what I mean?
And then you roll out. Yeah.
Yeah. So then all of a sudden they're like, watch Top Model. And everyone's like, who knew Curry had a body? Who knew what was going on? Because I was made fun of so bad growing up. I was just talking to my childhood best friend since kindergarten. We were the Rocky Horror Picture Show kids. We were the freaks and the losers and the nerds. We were not popular. And I love him. So I guess he's my lifelong gay BFF. And he follows the Joliet blotter to report all the people who used to mock and ridicule us and beat us up and stuff for being arrested and losers. And I'm like, you are like my favorite tea time. He's like, remember that one bitch that was awful to us? I'm like, yes. He's like, look at this, honey. And I'm like, oh,
DUI.
Like, look at her, look at this. And I'm like, you are so rotten. Or my favorite is if they do a bunch to their face. He's like, oh, remember the most popular girl in school? I'm like, yeah. He's like, she's a stranger to her own face. And I look and I'm like, I don't even recognize her.
Okay, so that's a good best friend. That's a good gay best friend to have when they're making those comments, because she's a stranger to her own face. Yeah. Needs to be on a t-shirt somewhere.
He's
the
my
good one-liners.
Favorite. Yeah, he's my favorite. So he used to be a drag queen way back in the day, but he hates the scene and everyone in it. He says it's just so toxic. But we have the same size shoe. So I gave him a couple of my old shoes and he bedazzled them and made them awesome and then sent me pictures of him doing his drag reviews in them. And he's like, look. I'm like, that's so funny that we could share shoes. Because I'm like a man. I'm man hands, man feet. I'm big. So we just shared.
Well, I will admit, my Fair Brady was a huge guilty pleasure of my husband and I. We got married in 2007. That was, it was 25 episodes from 2005 to 2008. So that was my dating time with my current husband. And then you guys divorced 5 years later. Mm-hmm. Do you think you got a divorce because of all like the spotlight? Do you because you met him on another TV show.
Surreal Life, yeah.
The Surreal Life, yeah. And I watched that too.
I thought when I met him, he was like a plumber or something. I thought he was like salt of the earth. All my friends were getting married. All my friends were having babies. My high school sweetheart dumped me when I won top model. And he was like, it was just too much for me and stuff. I thought we were going to get married and have babies. I would have stayed modeling in Chi-Town. I wouldn't have left. Like, I'm a little loyal thing. Like, I was like, that's the guy.
Yeah.
I was still hurt when I met my ex-husband. Like, I was still carrying the torch, still crying periodically. And this was years, like 2 years later, right? Yeah. And when I met my ex, I thought, oh, he sowed his oats, all this stuff, because no one else in Hollywood wants to get married unless they're like old and been put through the ringer, right?
Okay.
So I thought he would be I was too young to see the red flags. I would have been his third wife. That's a huge red flag. The way he proposed to me, making me think he was going to dump me and stuff first, huge red flag. That's not beautiful. And we were very toxic for one another, but I would have stayed and done anything I could to work through it. But one day he told me that he never loved me. He loved the idea of what he thought he could mold me to be because I was so young and pliable. But then I turned out to not be very moldable. And I wouldn't like succumb to wisdom and his teachings because I have a heart full of F you. I was like, who the hell are you to tell me I'm not good enough this way? So we just didn't jive. So I was like, I don't believe in divorce. Some rotten shit happened. And I said, here's the deal. I can be very vocal about everything that happened, or you could file for the divorce. So it will be on you. And then he went and he filed. And I'm like, that's not on me. That's you. That's all you, buddy. And
did you feel that he was very tainted by being on the Brady Bunch, like, and having that? I mean, that's like the Rolling Stones fame of television.
I feel bad for him because I don't think he knows what a normal life is. I don't think he knows what normal people are who truly care about him. I think everyone's always been enamored with him. I never liked the Brady Bunch at all. I hated the show growing up and stuff. And he always told me that that was something about me that was like appealing because I didn't know any of the episodes. I was like, thought it was just lame. Like, I just didn't care. But that was like my thing. Right. And I just feel bad that, you know,
so you thought you could enter this relationship because you're like, okay, I'm not enamored with the show. I'm not enamored with him. I think that I can go into this as a normal person because I'm not a fan. Like, okay, this might be able to work because I'm not enamored with him. I just like him as a person, whatever.
I thought his like intellect and maturity, I suppose, just, I don't know. Not wanting to hit the bar every single effing night with all your friends at like 21. I'm an old soul.
Yeah.
I was raised by my grandmother who was like, you get married young. Like my grandma was married at 16 and raised 10 children, including me and my brother. So it's just, that's where my mindset was. So it's funny because everyone thought I was the wild one. He was more of a partier than me, and nothing against him. Like, partying's not bad, but I would sit at home and play World of Warcraft while he was out partying.
Well, isn't he like 10 years older than you?
25.
25. Holy crap.
Yeah.
So that's way, I mean, he's so handsome. I don't think I clocked him as being that much older than you.
Yeah, I think I was 22 and he was 47 or 48.
Wow.
Yeah. But, you know, I wish him well. I know he's on his fourth wife. I'm on my second husband. I hope that he's happy. I hope that he's surrounded by people that, you know, don't give a crap about his show and actually care about who he is. But I think child stars are all robbed of knowing who they are really, because when everyone's screaming and ripping their hair out over you at 7 years old, I don't know how you develop as a normal human being.
Well, I mean, they've talked about it. They've done studies on like money and all of that stuff. Psychologically, it makes you a bit of a psychopath. You know, when we see these people that are multi-billionaires, you become a psychopath because you think, and if you've ever worked in like, you know, around certain professions, maybe lawyers or doctors even, or multimillionaires, there's a psychosis that you have all the answers. There's a psychosis that you must be smarter and better and more worthy than the rest of the people in the
And
room.
you're always chasing the dragon because it's never enough.
Yeah.
I have watched good people turn rotten to their core over money, fame. That's why it was just so easy for me to walk away. I remember I looked at my husband. I had said no to doing a show, He's Famously Single, because the people in my sphere were like, just lie and say you're single. I'm like, I just met now my husband. I'm like, I'm not going to go on there and effing lie. And they're like, you're losing all this money and work begets work. And I'm like, guys, I've never treated reality TV like some fake thing. That's not me. I don't want to do this. So I told my husband, I'm like, before you know it, I'm going to be on the Real Housewives of Blee Blee Blah. My biggest life concern will be money and my next injections in my face. And I am going to become a living husk of who I used to be, just this empty vassal that is just not me. So I was like, I gotta go, man. Because right before I left, I almost got tempted. I got offered so much money to be a spokesmodel for injectables.
Mm.
And I needed the money because when I met my husband, because I was saying no to all this work, and because I didn't do what I had to do to get ahead, if you know what I mean. But I know a lot of the chicks who did, because that guy offered me and then you're in the role next. I know what you did. It's like, I know what you did last time. It's funny when the Me Too thing hit, I'm sitting over here. I'm like, are we just going to pretend that 99.9% of them weren't all in on it? Is that what we're doing? Because that was the truth, right? But I didn't do it. So I'm actually proud that I was able to stay in it and some semi-relevant, not sleeping all around. Like, good for me, because every celebrity's dated each other. They hand each other around like a potato sack or a hot potato. They're like, you take them, you take them. It's like, what is it? The 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon or something.
I think it's like 3.
Yeah.
3 degrees or something. Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy there. It is so crazy, but I didn't want to be there anymore, man. It's all that glitters is not gold. It is not that good. I actually believe that, when I leave this plane, that I'm going to be judged for my works on this earth. And if had I stayed there, I don't think I would have been a righteous or decent soul to be presented in my afterlife. I don't think that would have been a good thing. So now I just sit here and now I drive by rich people's homes and I'm like, must be nice. Must be nice. But I'm right back to, it's like full circle, right back to the Juliet. And I'm totally cool with it. I feel good. But yeah, man, when I met my husband, I had said no to so much work. I lost my home. So I was homeless. Yeah. And he had me move in with him. It was a bit too early in our relationship. So I met him January, March, April, May, June. So July, I moved in with him about 6-7 months. And for him, that was soon. He's like, I just feel if you leave, because I was going to go move in with my ma.
Yeah.
He's like, I feel like if you leave, we're going to be missing something here. So that was like another big humble pie. He was a Twitch streamer at the time, Duck Sauce, playing World of Warcraft. Like before there was a million Twitch streamers, he was one of the OGs.
Mm-hmm.
So he was sitting there making all the bacon. I only had one job left, which was my Flex Belt ad. So at least I was making money every year from that. But to not be able to afford my apartment anymore and to move in with this dude, I was like, dude, F it. Like, there's no pride left here. It is what it is. It is what it is. What are you going to do? Yeah.
When you talk about leaving or being in Hollywood and feeling like half of your soul is there and half of it's been eroded, what part would you say is eroded? Like, what does happen? Because I mean, to understand someone that like gives into Diddy, or someone that's in that world, or himself even for that matter, because, he learned it from somewhere. What do you just have your eyes so on the prize, and then like, You just like, okay, make this excuse, make that allowance, make this excuse,
Yes.
make that allowance.
100%. That is exactly what it is. It's funny because my friends in LA called me the Ned Stark of Hollywood, which is flattering, but it's not saying much considering who you're hanging out with, right? I, on Top Model, started chiseling away at my soul when they did the nude shoot with diamonds. That's not something I ever would have done. I knew my grandma would be so disgusted with me. But they came up to me and they're like, we all know how cool you are. And we just want to make, the Christian girls wig out. And Tyra and I knew you would be game on for this. And I wasn't. I was too scared to be like, no, because I knew they'd eliminate me. And that's like the first chisel. There goes part of that of your soul, part of your conviction that you're willing to give up to try to get ahead. Then it became like, oh, if I'm more outrageous and if I just take life experiences and I multiply them a bit for entertainment purposes, people will perceive me as this big party girl, even though I'm sitting at home playing World of Warcraft.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And I'm like, but that's okay. So then another part of your soul, you're chiseling away. And then when you're like, I'm an honest
When you just
person,
said that, it was so weird. I could literally see you look over and watch it fall away. Like it's like I can see you watch it kind of leave.
And then you lie to yourself and you say, well, at least I'm not, sleeping around. At least I'm not doing substances and this and that. And it's just constant
negotiating with yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the normalization of the most abnormal and disgusting things is happening all around you. And I remember just sitting in a room where everyone was bashing people from the Midwest, the flyover states, the plebs, these worthless people. And I'm like, that's my family.
Yeah.
Well, and I said it and they're like, yeah, but now you're new money, like you're out.
You're like us. Yeah. You're us now.
And I would always be like, I'm not like these people. So it was a constant battle. And a lot of my friends were getting worried about me because they knew me really well. And they would not hear from me for 2 to 3 weeks because I was deeply depressed. And it took, after my divorce, some friends I trusted hooked me up with someone. And they're like, after everything you went through, you deserve a good guy. Fast forward, this guy was a prostitute to famous men and was like cheating on me with famous men in parking garages and stuff. And I felt like whatever was left of me, whatever fragile little thing that was left of me just got shattered. Because I'm like, these people, in order to have a famous name attached to things and to be able to extract or coattail ride, were willing to take me in my most fragile state, hurt after a marriage, and be like presenting this guy. And then afterwards they're like, oh, we knew he was like a womanizer and all this other stuff. We just thought he got better. And I'm like, with no therapy, like, you didn't even think to tell me this. You just sat me down and told me what a great guy he was.
Right.
And that was when the woman who raised me actually passed away in my arms. He was off doing this stuff. And I found out when I got home because he accidentally left his laptop open. And I mean, we're talking 7 levels of hell. Like, if I thought I had it bad before in my marriage, like, this guy was like, hold my beer. This is going to be it for you. So then
your grandma giving you her last gift, right? In that moment of.
She told my whole family because she met him and she said he has black eyes and she does not trust him. Like, meaning sociopathy, black eyes, right? And I'm like, grandma over there in hospice, like the Don, no. Like,
walk away.
Grandma. Yeah. So for a year, I was with him, but I was losing her and I knew something was wrong. And I had spiraled so far that I know I was contemplating lots of things that you're not allowed to talk about online. I don't know why, because there should be awareness for these things. But I was falling down a path of like
Despair
that was turning into inflicting pain on thyself. Like I never hit the bottle really before, ever, for a solid year, nonstop.
Wow.
Nonstop. And that's when I was like, okay, clearly I'm losing the light of my life, which is the woman who raised me. And I don't know what to do. I'm in the Dante's Inferno, surrounded by demons, trying to pretend I'm still a good person, wherever it was like everyone was a vulture and you're just a carcass, So after that happened, that's when I was like, this is the path I need to take. I need to get out of here. And it was when my grandma was going, she was in hospice, and I was getting pressured to come back to LA to pitch a show. And I was like, no. And they're like, oh, just come and pitch it. And then you can go back and be with your grandma. And my heart was like, she's not going to be here.
Yeah.
She's not going to be here. So I said no. And this network I was supposed to pitch to was all like, well, clearly she, thinks very little of our time. And I'm like, are you serious? Like, I get that you guys hear grandma, but this woman held me since I was born and raised me in my home. She's like my second mother. Like, get out of here. So that's when I was just like, that was the time, a solid year, that I was just like, everyone around me is a demon and I hate where I am and I hate my life and I don't want to be here. And it was on the 1-year anniversary that my grandma passed that I met my husband now.
Wow.
Insane. Yeah. And I knew, I was like, grandma's up there, that old Italian woman hooking it up. Yeah.
Driving the bus for you where you needed to be. Well, I know one of the things that you bring to social media right now is this push for authenticity. And, you had you had your breast implants taken out from what I've read. And it was traumatic. What happened there? Like, did you get them because of Hollywood? Did you take them out because of illness? What was going on with your breast implants?
I have a genetic defect where this side of my chest, it looks like someone ran and drop kicked me in the chest when I was a kid. It's concave.
Okay.
My brother has it, and you can see it on him too. It's like just genetic.
My friend's son just had the surgery for it. They had to wait till he was exactly 14 years old, and then they had to put like this metal plate around his rib cage.
I'm good. I'll just go with the only thing that sucks is the mammogram thing, because it's so concave that I'm probably going to have to start getting MRIs, because they're like, we just can't reach into your chest cavity to get because there's barely anything there anymore. My shirts that would have like logos on it would always go to the left side because that's the side that stuck out more. So I had like small C's, but it was always on. Then my ex was like 3 sheets to the wind one night and was like, don't worry, it's like being with 2 different women. And he had an affinity for everyone with yayas that walked by. And I was getting more and more insecure. So I went and I did something really stupid to my perfectly fine body. I don't know why. And they immediately went bad, and it triple yayaed on one side. I looked like the chick from Total Recall. There was like 3 almost. Yeah. So I go to the doctor. I'm like, get these out. And my doctor then, like, explants were not big in 2007, 2008. I was like, get these out. He was like, oh, it's going to look awful. Let me revise them. So I revised, and it's terrible. Again, they don't talk about all the nerve damage that they cut off your pepperonis. They put them on a table. They cut your pectoral muscles here and there, and they rip your pectoral muscles off of your rib cage and dig in there to form a pocket. You are having extensive nerve damage all over your chest. It's not good. And for what? Vanity? So I'm like trying to get them out, but then all of a sudden I'm, kind of hitting a wall because I'm not willing to do certain things to excel my career. And I just don't have the money now after the revision to get them out. Finally, it was like Ease Botch called me in like 2014, 2015, because word on the street was I wanted to get him out. And I talked to Dr. Terry DeBro, and this was before they jumped onto the explant train.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, "You're too young and too beautiful for me to just let me revise them." And I'm like, "This is where this ends. Thank you for calling me. Thanks for the consideration. I absolutely don't want more."
Yeah.
So I wait. And I start selling every vestige that I have left of Hollywood. All the jewels my ex gave me every time he was naughty and wanted to make up to me, clothes I was given, anything of worth that I had, my old wedding set, I sold it for like nothing to make people happy. Like, here's some tanzanite and diamonds. I'll take $900 for it, whatever. And I scrounged enough money to get an explant finally. And I'm so mad because it was January 6th, 2020. And then a year later, they stole my explant anniversary from me. I'm so annoyed that I can't say January 6th, yay, and everyone's mad because that
Everyone's
was
like, what?
day.
Mayday.
That was my day, damn it. But this was right before COVID hit. Like, it was probably floating around January 6th, 2020. And I go and I explant, and it turns out that my body, necrosis is when the flesh around the implant dies because your body's rejected it so much. So I lost 90% of my right side, and that's the concave side. So when I woke up, the surgeon was like, I had to do a reduction. And I thought, I'm like, am I crazy? No, what you mean is explant.
And he's like, no.
She was French. Yeah, je m'appelle Adrianne. She was like, you lost so much of your right side, you would have just had one like C cup. So I actually removed like 90% of your left side. So when she showed the picture, there was this big pile of fat. And I was like, no. Yeah. So it took me a solid year. And I had a hematoma emergency surgery later on that night. It was awful. I was laying in bed, and all of a sudden it looked like I had like triple G cups. I'm like, something's wrong. She's like, yep, right back into surgery. It took me a year of crying almost every day. I wouldn't take my shirt off with my husband. And it was bad. And I mean, it was a little traumatic. I live very remote. So when it came to removing all my stitches, my husband did it.
Oh my God.
In this bathroom.
That's a no for me.
I know. Well, his mom is a nurse of 40 years. And we're like, it was a blizzard, because it was January 6th that I got it done. It was probably end of January. We're in Montana because I got this done in Chi-Town. Dr. Florence Musat. She's great. Got back to Montana. It was crazy blizzards. So she was like, you can probably do this yourself. I was worried, like, are you going to be able to look at me the same? He's like, wounds are awesome. Let me in there.
Oh my God.
But for me, mentally, watching him cut all this stuff out and tweezer and like the blood and the oozing, like it effed me up where I was like, don't look at me ever, forever. Then he tried to be nice. And he was always favoring the bad yaya, the one that is like concave. I'm like, I know what you're trying to do, but it ain't helping.
Like, you just keep reminding me that it's different.
Yeah, I'm like, can you not? But now
we need an equal opportunity. Yeah.
Now they look good. Like, I look like a 11-and-a-half-year-old girl that just blossomed. Yeah, they're like, very. Yeah, and I'm a triple A cup, but I went in a small C cup naturally, and now I'm a triple A, and that's probably mostly flesh over here. I could have gotten a fat transfer, but I was like, I'm done tossing the dice. I'm done. Like, I'm done with this. I'm fine just the way I am, and eventually I'm going to stop crying, and I'm going to get over it, because I call them Franken biddies, but not with a B. And every time a friend of mine's like, I want implants, I'm like, look. And they're like, oh my God. I'm like, is that what you want? Is that what you want? Let me carry the scars and help you not make that decision.
Well, listening to you talk, it's just like you're saying, it's like you started here and then you went and did this. And then we're going back to kind of the basics. It's like Adrianne Curry 101. Like we're we're going back and finding yourself. And that's kind of what you're talking to women about. Like, don't be afraid to keep your hair natural. I don't. Um, you sell makeup, so you're obviously on board with makeup and skincare because that's your jam with Avon. But it
But I'm
seems,
lazy with my makeup. Like, look, I only have my eyes done. I have nothing on my face because you can cheat it. Everyone will
yeah.
look at your eyes, and then I'm a lazy bastard everywhere.
I know. I just use like bronzer. I'm like, I'll just use a little bronzer.
But you're glowing. You look
Oh, well,
great.
that's the lighting. I mean, I'm telling you, I'm sending you a damn ring light. There's so I just click it on and your whole life changes. It's game changer.
Oh my
But
gosh.
if you go back and look at the beginning, this is like I have another podcast, Meredith with a Y, and I'm at episode I think 202 over there. So like 4 years of podcasting. I would get out of the shower, wet head, sit in my closet and podcast right in my closet, like right out of the shower, not
Why
even
not?
do my hair. And I look back at there and I'm just like, that lives in infamy on YouTube.
I've done that too. You know what? Who cares? And my reality TV shows were one of the only ones where they'd have a camera in my face. I'd be dead asleep and I'd hear this whirring. And I'm like, oh, really? Really, dude? And the cameraman would be like trying to not laugh. I'm like, oh. Then you see the Kardashians, they're like, good morning with these big fake eyelashes and shit. I'm like, what is this? I had these people rolling in my bedroom, waking me up with the whirring of their camera gear in my face, looking like a foot.
I just
Like
watched a woman
total
on
foot.
The Real Housewives, and she's like, "All right, let's go to bed." Full makeup. Then the little boy runs and jumps on the bed, and I'm just like, "There's cameras in your room. We know you're full of shit. Who goes to bed with a full face of makeup?" We
See,
know, I mean, reality TV has definitely
there's nothing real about it.
changed since back when you
Yes.
were on. Would you ever go back as any part of Hollywood if you had full control, like full control of all of it?
I always say never, but 99.999999999% no. I have been offered good deals, lucrative, that I needed the money. Would have been great. I've even had producers be like, you won't have a mortgage anymore.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm like, oh my God, this is what I'm talking about. This is the soul. Yeah, let me chisel some more of that snow. And that money is the root of all evil. That's why as people make more and more, they become progressively
Psychotic.
worse and worse. Yes.
Yeah.
And anyone who, like, I don't know, I always feel like authoritative people, any of them, like every politician on earth, every side, they're all rotten. And if they don't start rotten, they'll be rotten in a year. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, it's just, I don't know. I just
Because you have to sell your soul. I mean, you have to sell that piece of you and make allowances. It's kind of,
yes.
I'm gonna give 1% over here to get 80%. I'm gonna give
Yes.
2% and then 1 and
then
then
all of a
3
sudden you're
and then
50-50. You're like
yeah.
only holding half a glass
Yeah.
when you used to be full. And you're like, well, what happened here? And that was the negotiating of your
Down.
soul. Yeah, right. And I told friends of mine at the time, I was pretty atheist, but I was like, dude, if there's a devil, he is fame, notoriety, and money. Now I think he's also tied with AI. And if you are to sacrifice your soul unknowingly, it is, the pathway of hell is paved with good intention. You're always well intended. You think you're doing the right thing, but it really takes an out of body experience, stepping away and really looking at what you're doing to be like, is that really my motive? Or you have to peel back those layers. Like, what's really down there? I started this all like I really wanted to help my family.
Yeah.
And I'll at least give myself a back pat. The entire time I had any money or any means to help my family, I did.
Yeah.
Built my mom a porch, got my mom like nice jewelry. I used to be offered nightclub appearances in Vegas, and they'd be like, oh, we'll give you $15,000. I'm like, would you fly out 10 of my family members and put them up in suites and all this stuff?
Oh,
and I give up
geez.
the money.
Do we have
And
it? Up, she's buffering.
Am I buffering?
Yeah, they're back.
Okay. So essentially, I would give up pay for appearances if they would fly out my loved ones for free vacations and stuff.
Yeah.
Things that I knew that they would never be able to afford on their own. Like I remember I went to Chicago. Maybe I did something in Crowbar. Remember that way back in the day. And I had this huge suite at the W right on the lake. It was huge. Well, my mom's best friend was battling yaya cancer, stage 4. And I'm like, okay, come take my room. I want you to take my room. So they took my room for 2 nights. I lied to the hotel. I would go back to Joliet, then come back and pretend I was there. I'm not kidding. And my mom's best friend was like, she was going through chemo and she's like, that bed, are you buffering now? Is it me? Is it you? Who's buffering, baby? Might be me. I don't want to go on and on. Perhaps it was me. Am I the only one on here or did she leave? I don't know. Who knows? Hi. If you guys can see and hear me, I will just say hello. I am here living my best life. Maybe I'll get back into this. I'm like, do I have internet? It says I have internet. It says I have internet. I have internet. I have fiber internet. That would be hilarious if it was just me here. It would be actually pretty funny. Anyway, this is my show because I'm so amazing. Thanks for tuning in to how great I am today. I'll be your host, random old lady living in the middle of Montana. Washed up reality has been.
Back. Somehow it disappeared and came back and we lost everything but it stayed.
Oh my gosh. Well, I checked my internet and I have fiber internet. It's like, you're okay. And I'm like, is it her? Is it me? I'm like, are people just watching me sit here by myself? I'm like, I don't know. What
is happening right now? We're literally going off of my Wi-Fi from my phone. I'm so sorry. I'm like, I just yelled at my 14-year-old. I'm like, are you touching the internet? He's like, no. He's got deep voice syndrome.
It's because I was talking shit about Satan running the internet. And he's like, I'll show this.
He's like, hold on, let me fix that for you. I'm literally. Do. Well, I mean,
fast forward. That thought that I had is I felt very good to be able to give the suite to my mom and her best friend because my mom's best friend said she couldn't find a comfortable bed. And whatever those feather beds are at the W in Chi-Town, she was like, it was like sleeping in heaven. And it made it worth all the back and forth to my hometown to my mom's house. I was like, that's great. But that's what fed my soul. So everyone's like, do you regret what you did? I was able to give my loved ones things that I otherwise never would have been able to give them, and experiences that they otherwise never would have had.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful for that because I love them and they deserved it.
Well, I mean, everything that you're talking about, I think there's so many of us, especially right now with the world of influencers and creators and like weird fame on social media, and you can become famous overnight for a million different things. Charlie Amelia, whatever her name is, Milio, from dancing, on TikTok. Like
I'm not cool. I don't know who's getting famous for what. Like, I wish I gave a shit. It's so funny because someone will meet me. My husband and I will go out and, he does movie trailer voiceovers. I always just say I sell Avon. So if they don't know who I am, they're like, have you ever met any celebrities or anything to my husband? And he'll just be like, I mean, what? Sure. And then they'll rattle off all these people they know. And it's always really hilarious if it's someone I know that I like considered a friend. And we're like, oh, That's cool. I'm like, that's fucking great. I don't know.
Yeah, you're like, okay, I love that. Well, I mean, when
Mhm.
talking to you, it seems to me that we might all be chasing the wrong thing at the end of the
Yes.
day.
Yes. You know, I get offended when people call me an influencer because I feel like I'm the anti-influencer. I don't do any of the things. People suggest you should do A, B, C, and D to grow your shit. And I'm like, I'll do none of it.
But
Like
I mean, I
I'm
think that
not
we can influence to a lot of things. Like, like there's people that are influencing people how to grow plants better or,
right.
like cook healthy meals. So I think,
See, for me, it was because you're just a reality TV star was that stigma I couldn't get rid
mm,
of. So then everyone's like, oh, influencers. I'm like, don't give me a new title I don't want. Like,
right?
I don't want it. Like, don't put me in any box. I'm like, nothing. But you are right. I feel that we're all so surface level. And those of us who think we're deep and soul searching, we lie to ourselves a lot about where we are in life and what we want. And I think we keep losing focus on what's important.
Yeah.
Like when my grandmother passed away, she left 2 pennies in her bank account. Like, here's my 2 cents to my mom. Her wealth was her family.
Yeah.
She lived a simple and beautiful life. And to me, it was like the Queen of England left chat.
Yeah.
Like I still am not over it. And I'm like, that's what's important, not like walking on a stage or some stupid commercial or that, because like, what does that even mean when I'm laying in a hospice myself? What does any of that mean? What will I be able to look at and say that meant something? And I can't say walking a red carpet will make the list.
Yeah. I think it sounds like being honest and being true to yourself and making it through. I guess you made it through, made it on the
Yeah.
other side. You're still here and you're speaking your truth. And I think that what else is there in life except for relationships and love and your
Love,
truth? Like at the
love.
end of the day, that's the takeaway. And if you can influence people to get back to self, get back to their core, I think then, your voice continues to be super important.
If I could change anything in the world that isn't like curing diseases, because of
Right.
course I would do that, what I would cure people of is this incessant need to perform for everyone else. And I would make them focus on their small communities. Like, to change the world isn't grandstanding with big signs protesting this and that. That's like, we're all just ants in their little maze and the puppets are pulling our strings. It's our home, our community, our neighborhood, our circles. If we can be the best that we can be in those, that's how we enhance society, I think. Because if
Yeah.
each little bubble starts trying to be the best that they can be for one another, that's how the world starts to slowly change for the better, I think. So
I
I
love
was
that.
always, looking at the world from the wrong lens. I thought it had to be this grand, big thing. And we're so minuscule and unimportant in this thing, but for our bubbles, like those are the people, our ride or dies, like they will be there. There are people that I would throw myself in front of a train for without barely a thought, and like to do something for them that touches their life in a certain way and enhances it. That is a bigger achievement to me than winning America's Next Top Model or accumulating more followers or getting a $50,000 paycheck. Though it would be nice, but
Well, it makes eating food and paying for shelter easier.
right.
I just love your perspective because it's so honest. Being that you've seen both sides and being that you've seen maybe not even both sides from your own having to go through, but you've watched other people. You've had a very good bird's eye view with groundedness while watching it too a little bit, even though you're kind of losing yourself at the same time. And it's like, you don't have to run for mayor. How about you just take care of your wife and kids? You don't have to, You know, you don't have to be the PTO president. You don't have to be a congressperson. Maybe just run for school board, you know, just like kind of whittle it back to the small pieces while still making sure that your home and your kids and your family and yourself is healthy and all that good stuff. I do think that, you know, and I've said it, and I know I'm talking to myself, is Jesus healed one person at a time. You know, it wasn't like this whole grand gesture, but we all want to be, you know, that person that does it all. Like we want to be the savior. We want to be the whole enchilada and be the, you know, winning the Academy Award, so to speak. And it's just like, how about you just make sure, but then their kids are flailing, you know, or their marriage is getting a divorce, but they won an Academy Award. So was it worth it? And it sounds to me from where you've walked and what you've seen and where you're landing right now, you're like, not only is it not worth it, but I've been asked to do it and still choose this life 100 times over.
And it's funny you mentioned Jesus. My husband's agnostic, no skin off my shoulders. I love that man, right? And I was a militant atheist, like mean about it. Right? Like I was like, get your religion out of here. Don't you pray for me. Like I was,
well, I'm not religious, but I'm spiritual and a follower, if you will.
I was here in Northwest Montana and the whole COVID thing was going on. And I'm watching from afar how evil people are being to each other. Just evil. And I'm like, okay, so I go outside and I live by like class 5 dark skies. I can see Milky Way tendril without even adjusting my eyes. It is spectacular. And I'm looking at this, I who did nothing but deny a greater power. And I'm like, dude, I was wrong. I believe in more. And now that's why I'm where I'm at. And I kept talking because I could see that you were buffering. But I found God again.
Yeah, I was buffering. I don't know what's going. They're working on. They're putting in new sidewalks over here, so I'm sure they're screwing with something under the ground. All over the city is getting like new sidewalks here and there. So I'm sure. Of course, I've never had an issue, and I'm still working off my personal hotspot. So that's like God's of saying like, hey, look, God is real. Go take care of your family. Eat, you know, healthy food and. This has been an amazing interview without us losing everything before we push. I've never had a Wi-Fi issue ever. Usually it's all of my interviews.
I told you, like, Satan is the internet and I slammed him. He ain't having it.
Driving me nuts. I'm like, what is happening? I just buffer. Adrianne Curry, thank you so much. When you're in Joliet next time, feel free to reach out. I would love to have coffee. Do you know that it used to be the Portillo's? Oh my gosh. Do you know it used to be Romeo and Juliet is what it's and they changed it to Romeoville and Joliet. Like they had an opportunity there to really cash in on some cool shit if they would have left it Romeo and Juliet. How cute would that have been?
We're prison town. No one wants to come to Juliet. Like all we had was maximum security prisons.
Oh my God. Well, clearly I need to go there more. I have only lived here for 8 years, so I don't know everything. The only time I'm in Romeoville is for baseball and softball games. So
if you ever go to Joliet, just be careful. Don't go to bars at night. Don't go to the east side past dark.
Good to know. Yeah. Good to stay safe. Well, thank you so much for being here and sharing your wisdom. I didn't think that this interview was going to go in this direction, and I'm so incredibly happy that it did. You taught me so much, to be perfectly honest with you, because I am one of those people that I'm like, am I ever going to matter? Am I ever going to count? And, you know, this whole interview
bubble,
is like,
you are like an angelic figure, and that's what matters. Your bubble, man. Yeah. So you do matter. And not only matter, but they'd throw themselves in front of a train for you. Yeah. And that is a life with meaning.
That is life worth. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you. Everybody else, we will be back here next week again with some amazing people. And I appreciate you all listening so much, because these interviews, they're changing lives one at a time, whether we like it or not. Learning from people is where it's at. So see you guys here next week. Thank you, Adrianne.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to the TikTok Famous Podcast with Meredith Willits. If you're loving the unfiltered stories and behind-the-scenes truths, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share the show. Until next time, let's get famous.